In today's video, I will be showing you one of the best speedruns that I have ever completed and explain to you the speedrun of Resident Evil 5. The professional difficulty is usually locked behind completing the game a single time and is intended to be played on New Game Plus, probably for this reason. Basically, any hit from any enemy will put Chris into danger, and Sheva has around 1 second to prevent you from dying. But this didn't stop me from attempting such a brutal challenge. And in attempting this challenge, this run was segmented, so basically every single room I reset many times until I could get it as fast as possible. And if you're not familiar with Resident Evil 5 speedruns, or just not familiar with the game in general, I'm going to give you a rundown of some basic mechanics and some knowledge that you'll need to know. So the first mechanic I'm going to go through is the quick turn. If you use your right stick, you can point your camera and then aim your weapon, and Chris will turn to face that direction. So you can go right, you can go left, you can go up, you can go down. You can also instantly turn as well. So you can hold your L1 button and that will locate Sheva, and you aim, and that's how you can do a 180-degree turn. The fastest way to do these quick turns is with the grenade. So look how fast you can go with the grenade. If you just spam it, you can turn into a complete Beyblade. And then this is as fast as you can go with any of the other weapons pretty much. So you'll usually see me throughout this run using the grenade. And same with the instant turn here. It's so much faster. So that is the quick turns. Kiting is the next mechanic. I'm going to showcase here, like, without any kiting, how bad Sheva's AI can be. So if you were just going for like raw speed, you would run down here. You don't wait for Sheva. You do a quick turn right. You run past the croc. Yeah, she got stuck on the croc there a little bit. Now she's going to the left. She's standing still. She's going to the right. She's standing still. She's turning left and right. She doesn't know what she's doing. See, she got stuck there again. Her line is just off. Like, look, she's standing there. She's looking left and right. It's not ideal. So now I'm going to show you how to do this with what's called a kite. Okay, Sheva is really close to me. That's fine. Wait for her to start her animation. Tell her to come on. I'll wait for her here. She starts moving. That took a little while longer than I would have liked you to set up, but look at how, like, her movement now. It's very similar to mine. That she's not going to stop and start. And it's just so much nicer. We're going to both get the checkpoint here at the same time. It cost me a couple of seconds of waiting time to get the kite ready, and it wasn't very optimal at all. I'm a bit rusty. I haven't run this game for 5 years, but it's so much faster over the long course of a run to stop yourself a second, maybe two, and get Sheva right behind you. So since this run is segmented, I'm going to be using the checkpoint reset. So as you just saw previously, I ran here, I got the checkpoint. The second I get that checkpoint is what the timer will be. And each time I click restart, it's going to reset back to that time. So if I click restart, boom. When I got the checkpoint, that's what the in-game time will be. You can actually, like, change your equipped weapon in these menus as well. So if you look at my inventory right now, I've got the E next to the grenade. That means it's equipped. Now, if I can do this, boom, it's gone. It won't show that the pistol is equipped, but it prioritizes physical weapons over grenades and whatnot. So if I reload it now, I should have the handgun equipped. Cool. Now, if I want to equip a grenade, the opposite is true. I can remove this. But I have to load into the game with just the hand grenade, or just any sort of grenade, and that will equip it into my hand. I can't do this because it's going to prioritize the pistol. So I'll do this one more time. This time I will get rid of this. So basically the game will equip your weapon, no matter if it's your only weapon, guaranteed. So the RE5 run is filled with these basic mechanics, and anything else I will be explaining as it happens and making sure you guys understand what's going on. Launching the game on the professional difficulty starts me on chapter 1-1, where I currently have no equipment. So I run to the butcher's shop and meet Mr. Fisher, who supplies me and Sheva with an M92F each. And running through to the next area, I go so fast that there is still an NPC spawned. I skip all of the items for now and head into the next room, ambushed by the first enemy. But if I'm fast enough, I can squeeze through the gap on the left side. I jump out of the window and trigger the large pack of enemies to spawn, which I will not be dealing with. Not only is it way slower, but I just do not have the resources to be dealing with these guys right now. I head into the safe room, and it's also a good time to point out that the ammo spawns that appear on all other difficulties do not appear on the professional difficulty. There is usually a hand grenade here which would be extremely helpful, but I'll just have to continue without it. The herbs, however, are still present, it's just the ammunition that is missing. I head through to the exit of this area as fast as I can, and when I get there, I click on the door at the furthest point to the left, which means I have to wait less time for Sheva to reach the door, saving a few frames. After loading the final area, I reset the checkpoint and remove Sheva's handgun, because we all know how useless she is. And it's now time for the battle at the checkpoint. The first thing I do is head back outside and grab the green herb, combine it with the red herb and destroy some boxes back inside. I then head outside, where I'm actually more safe than inside, because if I walk towards this wall, the enemy's AI is slightly broken and can only perform grab attacks, and if an enemy grabs me from behind, they can't actually do damage by themselves. They just patiently wait for one of their buddies to attack me while I patiently wait for Sheva to save me. I can then finish the enemies off with a punch if I'm able to do so and loot their bodies. I acquired a total of 1800 gold from enemies, and now the executioner spawns. It's also somewhat random how long it takes the executioner to approach the gate. Sometimes he'll stand there for 10 seconds scratching his ass, and other times, such as this run, he will immediately walk towards the gate. I then head to the back of the arena to pick up the VZ61, which thankfully is still given to me on the professional difficulty. I get an incendiary grenade from this box, and since there are no grenade placements in the environment in this run, I would have to get every single one of my grenades from random enemy drops. I need to pick up at least one hand grenade before chapter 2-1 because that will save me a lot of time. If not, I would need to reset this fight over and over until I got one. And believe me, I had to, many times in fact. I grab the green herb from this roof, jump down and start making my way up to the main rooftop where I will survive the rest of this battle. With my back to this wall, the enemies can only come up the ladder and over the billboard on the left side. And using the VZ61, I can stun the enemies and take them out with punches while simultaneously looting their bodies. And on one of the very last enemies I take out, they drop the hand grenade that I've been looking for. And I survive the battle with a few herbs, a couple of grenades and a whopping 11 bullets to my name. But this is the perfect start, finishing chapter 1 in 8 minutes and 25 seconds. Entering chapter 1-2, I spawn back to where I had the last battle, but without the onslaught of enemies this time. I run to the end of this room and wait till the perfect time to click on the door, ensuring Sheva does not interrupt her running animation. The first half of the next room is one of the most annoying in the entire game because it is mostly reliant on Sheva's movement. However, I can manipulate her movement, making it faster and more consistent. When entering this blue door, I head to the left side of it, which in terms of raw speed, I'm losing a slight touch of time. But if I go to the right, Sheva will get stuck and have to open the door herself. She then sticks with me until after the red door, which is very important as when I hit this cutscene trigger, if she is too far away, she will not teleport next to me. When I skip the cutscene, I turn left and stutter my step ever so slightly, allowing Sheva to reach the kiting range. Now I let myself get ahead of Sheva and bait out the attacks of these two remaining enemies, which will ensure that they will not attack Sheva. Finally, I wait until she is close enough to activate the door and that annoying segment is over. The next segment is still pretty annoying, but thankfully it is way shorter. I trigger Allison to spawn, don't even bother fighting her, I just leave and make sure Sheva is kited. I take it super wide, manipulating the enemies to go to the left, and we can squeeze past them on the right side. For this next part, I can just rush ahead because I need to pick up the 2000 gold in this chest, and it's also worth noting that the money drops are doubled in this difficulty. So there is usually a 300 and two 400 golds, but in this difficulty it's a 600 and two 800 golds. We break open the door, and this is another brutal part for Sheva's AI. Sometimes Sheva can be running around in this room for like 15 seconds unless you manipulate her and kite her precisely. The last area of this level contains a boss fight, the first Ouroboros of this speedrun, but before I get to the furnace room, I put Sheva into attack mode, so that she will leave my side and destroy the two barrels. I'm not too interested in what's in the barrels, it's more to keep her in this room, so when I pick up the furnace key, I am instantly put into the cutscene. And as for the fight strategy, I run back to the furnace room, pick up some ammo from the barrels, sort out my inventory, and wait for Ouroboros to enter. As soon as I skip the cutscene, I pull the lever to activate the furnace. This is the exact timing to get the boss to slip into the furnace. Once the furnace has been used on the boss for the first time, I stand in this position with Sheva, face the door, and put her into attack mode. This will get her to run out of the furnace and head towards the barrels to destroy them. I can then trigger the Ouroboros to attack, pull the furnace lever when it's back, and run through the furnace once again, keeping Ouroboros in place. On the other difficulties, the monster would be dead right now, but I need to repeat this a final time. I can then head to the end of the level, finishing chapter 1-2 in 5 minutes and 28 seconds. Before entering the next chapter, I sell all of the herbs, upgrade the capacity of the VZ61, which costs 500 gold, which increases the capacity to 60 and also replenishes the 55 ammo that I would be missing. I then purchase the base shotgun and put it into Chris's inventory. I could have picked it up from the house in the previous chapter, but it would have taken far too long. When the chapter loads, I head straight to the exit, picking up the MP5 along the way. For the next section, I head to the right, use the pistol to blow up the trip mine and stun this Magini that is charging at me, making sure I squeeze past him while hugging the right wall so I can bait out the next Magini's attack. I dodge the attack, destroy a mine, and destroy another mine straight after, doing so before I trigger the dog cutscene. I then run past the next two enemies, jump off the container, and enter an annoying arena. Killing all of these enemies would take far too long and it would be quite difficult, so I just loot this barrel, take its contents, and run towards this gate, praying that Sheva will get there without taking any damage. It was successful and I can reset the checkpoint to despawn the enemies. Next up is the big truck being driven by a maniac. Thankfully, there are conveniently placed explosive barrels, so I can easily take out the truck and many of the enemies blocking the way. And the final part of this loading zone is the tunnel with the dogs. This probably took many resets, but I managed to just run past them and exit the tunnel. In the start of the next room, we're introduced to a new enemy type, but these first ones can just be run past. I then run to the next locked door, skipping everything in this area. 2 shots and a kick and it's open. The key is shot down and I pick it up while not going too far into the room, and this will avoid the door from getting relocked. I turn to the right and start heading towards the door that needs the key, and thankfully Sheva is in a very optimal position, and I can get a good kite very quickly. After getting the kite though, I head up the ledge on the left side, which makes it more consistent for Sheva to not go crazy and jump into the water to get some gold coins or kill some fish, whatever she decides to do. But I can dodge all of the enemy attacks with some precise movement, and when I vault the barrier, Sheva is right behind me. This makes it easier to kite her to the end of the room, even if it was slightly slow at the end. Now the next room took me a long time to get correct. I run through the area and I'm greeted by a bunch of Magini on the stairs. I can stun them with 2 shotgun shells, and you remember that hand grenade that I picked up on chapter 1-1? Well, I yeet it straight over this wall and it's perfectly placed to break the lock, and I can head straight through the double door. The double door is now unlocked and I head towards the stairs, activating a checkpoint. I reset the checkpoint, upgrade the capacity of the shotgun to 7, sell one of the spare M92F handguns, give the VZ61 and the M92F to Sheva, and usually Sheva is pretty useless when it comes to combat. But surprisingly, here she is extremely helpful. As I enter the trigger to start the boss fight, I tell Sheva to go into attack mode. I run towards the chainsaw Magini and stun it with 4 pistol shots before using 6 shotgun shells at close range. And while doing this, Sheva is beaming into this guy's head with the VZ61. Run past the boss, perform a quick turn with the MP5 and use its penetrative power to deal a lot of damage to the boss and also the enemies behind. I switch back to the MP5 and when that runs out of ammo, I finish the chainsaw Magini off with the handgun. I can then head through the gate, open up the treasure chest, grab all of the items and exit this room. And the last room of 2-1 is very simple. I run towards the last gate, activate a cutscene and hit all the QuickTime events. And that is chapter 2-1, completed in 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Before taking on 2-2, I upgrade the capacity of the shotgun yet again and remove the weapons from Sheva's inventory. After kicking open the door, I wait a second for Sheva to catch up and then take on the train yard. There's a mine blocking my way, but I delay shooting it as long as possible to make sure the 2 dogs have spawned in and they will be stunned by the explosion. The second mine doesn't matter too much, but I can then climb these boxes, get on top of the train and jump into the cart. Now Sheva can kill the attempt here by randomly jumping down and doing an infinite loop. I'm not really sure what causes it, but it didn't happen on this attempt. Into the cave I go and I can get Sheva to pick up the lantern if I just run past it. I've ran through these caves so many times, I probably can do this without my eyesight. The first enemy gets dodged, and the next 2 enemies decide to do a long distance charge, which is very easy to dodge. There's a treasure here which I shoot down, which might cost me a little bit of time, but this movement perfectly manipulates the enemy AI and creates this nice gap to squeeze through on the right side. Eventually, I reach the crank and all I can do really is spin and pray. Sheva squeezes through and I drop the gate in a nick of time. And do you remember all of those enemies that I've just ran past? Well, they're all right behind me, which is just bloody lovely. Luckily, I have the shotgun to defend myself. And I don't have the luxury of resetting this checkpoint here as it costs too much time, so I have to complete this next section in a single attempt. I climb up the first ladder, head to the right, climb up the second ladder and take a wide line to avoid any stray crossbow bolts. Finally, I can use one of my incendiary grenades to stun both of the enemies blocking the final elevator, and thankfully Sheva is not too far behind and I can finish this section unscathed. Exiting the elevator, I head up these stairs into a cutscene and add another weapon to my arsenal. This time it's the Dragunov SVD sniper rifle, one of the best weapons for this speedrun. I then head down the stairs, through the red door and dodge an enemy trying to charge at me. The next few enemies all attempt long-range attacks, so I can dodge them all easily. This also allows me to shoot down this treasure, which is a diamond in the pear shape worth 2,000 gold. I then head up this long ladder and all I'm hoping for is Sheva not to take any damage. She doesn't and I can reset the checkpoint, which despawns the enemies and teleports Sheva to my location. The last part before the boss fight is to run up this hill while being bombarded by archers and random pieces of dynamite. It looks a lot harder than it actually is, because as long as I keep running and make sure to dodge the archers, it's very unlikely I'll take damage. The important part is that Sheva is right next to me when I start moving the box. I reach the checkpoint and reload it, so I can upgrade the rifle's firepower to 750 and the capacity to 9. I then buy 2 more Dragunov SVDs. and upgrade both of the capacities to 9 as well. And you might be thinking, why on earth would you buy 2 more of these? Well, one of them goes to Sheva, but the other one gets sold, which leaves behind 9 rifle ammo. Now for the actual boss fight, the Popokaramu. I run to the right side, allowing me to get a great angle on the weak spot of the boss, and with 2 shots, it gets stunned and falls to the floor. I then start destroying it with all of my rifle ammo, while Sheva is doing the same thing, and I can perform a super fast reload here where I don't even have to re-aim my weapon. And with my very last bullet, the boss dies, calculated to perfection, and the chapter is finished in 4 minutes and 38 seconds. And if you know this game, you'll know that the next chapter is basically an auto-scroller with basically not much variance in terms of speed until I get to the actual boss fight. As long as I don't die, make sure that I hit all of the QTEs and make sure I destroy this truck as fast as possible, I won't lose any time. The Nadesu boss fight is where things get really interesting though. I shoot the enemy a little bit in the face, then blow up this barrel to the right and continue shooting until he stuns and falls backwards. Now the small Plagas emerge from its body, and I need to destroy these in order to get the main Plaga to expose itself. I start by shooting the left one, and it starts winding up a charge attack. I then pause my own attacks for 2 reasons. To prevent my turret from overheating, and also let the boss get closer to me before I stun it. I can then easily destroy both of the small Plagas, revealing the big main Plaga for the first time. When the large Plaga goes back inside the boss, it's back to shooting its face, and when it eventually stuns again, this time it exposes 4 small Plagas. I start shooting them, dodge his slam attack, and then he starts another charge attack. The boss gets stunned in a very good position and closes the distance with me once again. I stun it out of its stomp attack by doing enough damage, and it eventually goes for one of its punches. Instead of dodging this one, however, I just eat it, allowing me to pump even more damage into the boss. Eventually, the boss falls backwards, I blow up the barrel, and there's just 1 Plaga remaining that gets decimated. Lastly, I go full Rambo into the main Plaga, getting the perfect Nadesu 2 cycle, and that's chapter 2-3 completed in 5 minutes and 37 seconds. Entering the marshlands, I upgrade the capacity of both sniper rifles to 10. But sell the one that Sheva has, giving me 10 rifle rounds for 500 gold. I also remove the rifle from my inventory as I currently have it equipped, and that will force my currently equipped weapon to change. I arrive on the boat, pick up the beast slate and do an instant quick turn, heading back towards the boat and putting Sheva into attack mode. She won't be attacking any enemies however, but she will be attacking some pots for me. This is mainly for her movement when I go to pick up the next slate. I drive basically at full speed before slowing down right at the end to avoid a crash. I then reset the checkpoint and give Sheva a sniper rifle. My next objective is to pick up the warrior slate, and I start making my way towards it, but notice how Sheva goes to the right instead of following me. This will be helpful once I've picked up the slate and am leaving. The slate is acquired and I put Sheva back into the cover mode as I am vaulting the window. This forces her to come back to me and I am able to kite her to the boat to get a checkpoint. I reset the checkpoint and now is where Sheva will actually get to use the sniper rifle. She only needs to kill 1 enemy however, and it's this one in the hut. Once he's dead, the spiked gate will lower and I can head to the next area. Sheva will not be needing a weapon for a good while now, so I remove it from her inventory and run through the crocodile infested waters. Once I've reached the top, I grab the warrior slate and start to head back. I tell Sheva to come on, which helps with her AI, and she prioritizes dropping off the ledge. I then wait for her down in the water so I can get her into a good kite range. The trigger for the next checkpoint can be activated earlier by running into this corner, and you might be wondering why I don't just run here myself, but if Sheva is not with me, the checkpoint will not activate. For this checkpoint, I remove everything from my inventory and buy 10 proximity mines for 3000 gold and put 5 of them in my inventory. This will force the game to equip the mines as it's the only weapon I have in my inventory. The next stop is just a small boat ride away and I don't need any of my other weapons. On my way to the fourth and final slate, I strategically place 3 proximity mines, because once I pick up the Shaman slate, a ton of enemies will spawn, blocking my way back to the boat. But they start getting blown up, and since I need to wait for Sheva anyway, I take the opportunity to loot their bodies. Now, I did actually notice a potential small mistake here. One of the mines blew up this mask, which drops a pear-shaped ruby worth 1000 gold, but I actually picked up the 200 gold from this enemy. It doesn't make that much of a difference, but it definitely wasn't optimal. I then re-equip my usual loadout and jump back on the boat. But before I use the slates, I head to this semi-capsized boat to pick up an essential weapon for this run, the rocket launcher. It is extremely optimal to pick up this rocket launcher now. Not only does it give me a rocket launcher to use, it also allows me to buy them from the shop after this chapter. I use the 4 slates and enter the next area, which starts off pretty simple by just running to the next checkpoint and making sure I tell Sheva to go into attack mode. I start to run through the area, but notice how Sheva goes to the left to do some looting. I'm then ambushed by a giant Majini and one of his smaller buddies. But they get absolutely juiced. When I watched this back for the first time, I was like, oh mate, get juiced. But I then placed 2 proximity mines to protect myself from any would-be attackers while I am rising the bridge. And because Sheva was doing her own thing looting on the left side, she doesn't have to run back the way I came through a ton of enemies. She crosses the bridge and I'm left to fend for myself against 2 giant Majini. I can dodge them though and pick up this jewel beetle for free, worth 2000 gold. I kick the door open as soon as Sheva has unlocked it, tell her to come on and kite her to the end of the level, finishing it in 6 minutes and 32 seconds. 3-2 is up next and it's one of the harder and longer chapters in this speedrun. I organise my inventory a little bit, upgrade the capacity of both the shotgun and the VZ61, but I sell the machine gun for its 80 ammo and combine it with the MP5 instead. For the first section of this level, I don't need Sheva too close to me, so I start to run through and click on this crank, which will get Sheva to move towards it. I climb up the ladder, jump across the gap and eventually drop into this raft. And so long as Sheva is next to the crank, a checkpoint will activate which I can reset to despawn the enemies. The raft section is pretty simple, I just hit the QTEs to avoid the croc. I then unlock the door, cross the bridge and reset the checkpoint. The next area is the oil refinery and while making my way there, I pick up another jewel beetle. I might as well since Sheva is so slow. Now, the oil refinery battle is one of the toughest in the new game professional speedrun. I take out an archer to the left and an archer to the right before dropping down. I drop this guy to the ground using the MP5 and wait for the dynamite wielding Majini to get close, shooting the dynamite and killing most of the enemies instantly. I then head up the stairs, placing a proximity mine for some protection and head up this ladder. Sheva is then put into attack mode and at the same time told to rotate this valve. There's a jewel beetle here which I can pick up and then drop down, heading to the next valve. Once I pull this lever, I take out this annoying archer as well as a dynamite Majini. The zip wire can now be used and once again I tell Sheva to operate this valve while I unlock the door, which triggers a chainsaw Majini to spawn. I then make my way towards the second zip wire, killing this Majini after I pull the lever, shooting another off the ladder and baiting an attack from the chainsaw Majini so I can safely use the zip wire. After using the second zip wire, a second chainsaw Majini spawns. But as risky as this sounds, I will need to ignore both of them and just turn the valve. With both valves turned and the fire extinguished, I head towards this ladder where Sheva is waiting for me and I take a wide turn around it, and this makes it more consistent for Sheva to climb the ladder without getting stuck. Finally, I get ambushed by a bunch of enemies. The first few can be taken out with a piece of dynamite, and the rest can be pushed away with the shotgun. And when I was writing this script, I audibly gasped at this attack. I was very surprised that this didn't hit me. Now that I'm safe inside, I reset the checkpoint, give my handgun to Sheva along with some ammo, and start the battle. This fight is somewhat time-based, but the timer doesn't begin until I kill the first wave of enemies, which all get destroyed by a single proximity mine, and the straggler gets taken out with a single rifle bullet. I can then loot the area without wasting any time. And since this part is time-based, all I need to do is not take any damage, and the easiest way to do this is to keep the enemies at bay. The enemies can only come from two locations, the window and the fence. Standing here, Sheva can stun the enemies that are coming over the fence, and I can stun the enemies coming through the window. Eventually, two of the big boys spawn, but only one of them makes it through the window, and I can stun it by shooting the proximity mine that I placed here earlier. And this is perfect timing, because the elevator is ready. Luckily, I get a checkpoint here, which I can reset and take away the handgun from Sheva. This next section relies on Josh getting to the terminal as fast as possible. So for this part, I just had to keep retrying until he wasn't getting attacked by the enemies and getting slowed down. Josh got here pretty quickly, and all I need to do now is defend him from the enemies. The first few get killed by the rifle and the shotgun, and I'm supposed to start knocking them off the ladder to avoid getting overrun. I missed my shots however, so I had to use the shotgun and MP5 to stun the enemies, including this chainsaw Magini. The final part of this level is the docks, and I preemptively place a mine here and run towards the checkpoint. This triggers all of the enemies to spawn, and I need to make my way to the boat. There is 6,000 gold in a briefcase behind me, but it takes too long to get, so I run past the first set of enemies that thankfully all use ranged attacks. The proximity mine from earlier takes out the next set of enemies as well as the lock that is blocking the door, which I kick open and shoot this mine, which kills the dog coming out of this room. I blow up one more mine that's blocking the way and run to the end of the pier. And that's this chapter done in 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Chapter 3-3 is somewhat of an auto-scroller, but it is way more interesting than the Chapter 2-3 auto-scroller. I do some menuing and start the level, stunning these enemies to the right, and use the knife to deflect this arrow. This was literally just done for aura farming, I'm not gonna lie. It was really unnecessary, but at the same time, it was super necessary. I blow up some barrels, taking out some archers, and shoot a few enemies, which all die in one shot. Approaching the first section that I need to disembark, I blow up this big silo, killing the flying enemy, turn around and shoot this enemy so it falls off the ledge. As I jump across the gap, I put Sheva in attack mode so she stays near the boat while I pull down the lever. And I tell her to come back when I'm jumping across the gap. I get back into the boat without taking any damage. We get going and I have to duck under a couple of pipes and take out some enemies from a distance with the pistol. And just before I get off the boat again, I stand in this position so I can pick up the green herb while the boat is moving, getting 200 gold for free. I climb off the boat, stun this archer and take out the 2 turret operators with the rifle. Once I'm through the door, I shoot this archer, which thankfully dies in one shot, and tell Sheva to operate this lever. I pull the lever down on my side and jump back across the gap, putting Sheva back into the cover mode again. I slow down a little bit so I can get her into the perfect kite range and tell her to come on while kicking this door, making sure that she sticks to me like glue, and I get back into the boat. Now I can still get hit here before the end of the level, so I just look down with the knife to make my hitbox slightly smaller. Now it's time for the Irving boss fight. With a perfectly timed and aimed rocket, I can end phase 1 instantly, picking up the first aid spray and getting Sheva and myself onto the turrets. Now I just need to smash into Irving, getting away from the edge of the boat every time he dives back up to avoid his big attack. After 3 cycles, Irving is dead, and that's the final chapter in the marshlands completed in 4 minutes and 47 seconds. Before taking on the ruins, I do a bit of inventory management and buy 5 more proximity mines. I then start making my way through the cave, heading straight for this ladder and running past all of the spiders. I do grab this pear-shaped sapphire from the mask, however. On to the next section, I just need to run to the checkpoint and reset it to get Sheva closer to me. This section is extremely awkward and very RNG dependent. After dropping down, I shoot the MP5 at this enemy to stun it, then juke this archer, the archer next to it, and then stun the shield enemies with the MP5. I can then open the coffin with Sheva, drop down and get a checkpoint. I reset the checkpoint and head forwards, triggering the door to open, but I drop down and run straight past the enemies, activating another checkpoint. With this single reset, most of the enemies despawn, and I can run towards this mechanism in the middle of the room and activate it with Sheva. And I do perform a very small glitch here. If I pause my game at the same frame the mechanism is finished turning, it delays the spawning of the balls for a few seconds. And it also does some weird camera thing here where I get invisible, and I believe it pauses the in-game time, which will save me a few seconds. The start of the next room is just QTE madness, and once that's over, it's onto the big area that has a moving staircase. I head down the stairs to get Sheva in place for the first statue, and on the way back, I pick up the best weapon in the entire game, and that is the grenade launcher. It is so versatile and will be used a lot for the rest of this speedrun. I activate the statue, ignore the treasure, and make my way to the second statue. And once that's activated, I reset the checkpoint. On my way to the third statue, a pack of enemies spawn and I dodge the first set by taking a very wide line, baiting out their attacks. The shield tribesman can be stunned with an MP5 round, and the last archer can just be ran past. The third statue is activated and I make my way to the fourth statue, telling Sheva to wait at the top part while I move down to the bottom. I ignore all the spiders spawning and just YOLO the pulley device, and once the statue has moved back, I actually pick up this treasure, because I'll need to wait a while for Sheva to catch up to me, so why not? I activate the fifth and final statue, reset the checkpoint and pick up this treasure. I then turn around and I'm greeted by a boss, another Popokaramu, but I don't have to fight this one at all. I can just run past it, head up the stairs towards the exit, and eventually I'll get this QTE cutscene. The boss dies and I finish 4-1 in 6 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm about to take on the part of the ruins that has the sunbeams, but before I do that, I clean up my inventory, sell my treasures, buy 12 acid rounds and 24 flash rounds, putting both of them in my inventory and removing the 12 explosive rounds that are already in the grenade launcher. The acid rounds are instantly put to great use. With a very precise shot, I can take out the enemy operating the sunbeam on the left, which will save me from pausing whenever it tries to attack me. I then head left, run straight past this set of enemies, pick up the C emblem and leave before it gets too hairy. And there is another precise shot here I can do with the grenade launcher, this one to take out the second enemy operated sunbeam. With both beams deactivated, I can head to the left and get a checkpoint, which I reset and remove the items from Sheva's inventory. I send her across, take her out of attack mode, turn around and then put her back into attack mode. Somehow this makes it so she runs straight towards the sky emblem, and all I need to do now is run to the next checkpoint and pray that she doesn't take any damage. I reset the next checkpoint and Sheva is still in attack mode, so she loots some ammo for me while I make my way to the final emblem. I use a flash round to stun the enemies, pick up the earth emblem, and I'll be on my way. And when I drop down, I make sure to put Sheva back into cover mode. On this next checkpoint, I remove everything from my inventory and replace it with the M92F, so it's forced into my hand. And I then use it to shoot down this diamond trilliant worth 4,000 gold. The last section of the ruins is this part with the lasers bouncing off the mirrors. Most of this is just movement, nothing too much to comment on. I don't get any of the treasures or anything like that, but one cool thing is this door. If I wait for the door to open during the cutscene, when I skip it, it will be fully open. But if I skip it early, it will only be partially open, and that will slow me down slightly. The puzzle is complete, and I end chapter 4-2 with a time of 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Chapter 5-1 is one of the shortest in the entire game. I equip the handgun, load into the level and run towards the end of the first section, putting Sheva into attack mode. I catch a glimpse of a licker, and while I make my way through this section, Sheva being in attack mode will loot the rooms, which is pretty handy because I get free gold and also a hand grenade. I open the first door, pull down the lever and smash the glass, making my way through this section. I am then formally introduced to the lickers, which thankfully I can easily run past and open up this valve operated door. But before getting the checkpoint, I head into the room to the right and grab the 6,000 gold from this safe, remembering to put Sheva in cover mode while kicking open this door. I get the checkpoint, reset it and remove all of the items from my inventory, equip the grenade launcher and the MP5 along with the acid rounds before buying a rocket launcher. I put the rocket launcher into my inventory, but I won't be needing it till slightly later in the chapter. The next part of 5-1 is the licker ambush. I open the door with Sheva and take a small shortcut through the glass, using the MP5 to shoot a single bullet through 2 pieces of glass. I kick open the door with Sheva and run towards the elevator. This is another one of those cool cutscenes that pause the in-game timer, but the game actually progresses, similar to the door from the previous chapter. I can then keep the lickers at bay by constantly stunning them with the flash grenades. The flash grenades don't stun them for very long though, so I have to use a lot of them. 7 is just enough, and once the door is open, we take the elevator down to the boss fight. U8 is a pretty simple boss, but it's still more difficult on the professional difficulty. I dodge the opening QTE, step back slightly and fire a rocket at the boss to deal a lot of damage. But it's not dead yet. I shoot the boss with an acid round that will stun it, then fire 3 more acid rounds directly into its mouth, and that's the boss dead and the chapter finished in 2 minutes and 51 seconds. 5-2 was one of the hardest chapters to complete, because I'm introduced to AK-47 wielding soldiers. It was that hard that when I originally got here on my first attempt, a few weeks before making this speedrun, I did not have the ammo to complete this chapter, so I had to start the run all the way from chapter 1. But at the same time, some new strats were discovered and I was able to take advantage of those and save about 40 seconds in the first few chapters. For the inventory management, I take everything off Sheva, re-equip my sniper rifle and take some proximity mines with me. I descend the stairs and finally meet the machine gun wielding soldiers, taking 3 of them out with 2 sniper bullets. I push forward, take out another 2 enemies, and I kick open this door, take out another soldier, reposition and take out 2 more. Finally, a big group of enemies come out of this small room, and I manage to stun every single one of them with an acid round. You might ask, why don't you just use a flash grenade? Well, these soldiers with the metal helmets are immune to flashes, so the acid round is the next best option. I timed it perfectly and got through this annoying room extremely fast and without taking any damage. I flashed this box to stun the first soldier, then head up the stairs using another flash round. This enemy doesn't get stunned, so I get close to it to bait out a melee attack. I head forwards and shoot these gas canisters, blowing up all of the enemies blocking the exit. I then just run to the exit, hoping I don't take any damage, and equip the hand grenade before taking the elevator down. Next up is the long, liquor-infested corridor, and if you've tried to get the platinum trophy for this game, you'll know how good this room is for farming money. I won't be killing any of these chieftains though, I'll be making sure that Sheva is kited and run through this room. The next room is the biggest in the entire chapter, and has a neat little trick that can be performed at the beginning. Remember when Sheva was in attack mode picking up the items in the previous chapter and she picked up this hand grenade? Well, I can actually use it to instantly kill the enemy down here and use the sniper rifle on the soldier in the distance. This will prevent a lot of enemies from spawning and make it easier and faster to get through this first section. I kick through the door, reset the checkpoint and put the MP5 back in my inventory. I drop down and run straight across the travelator, and dodge the grenades being thrown at me by the soldiers. One soldier is very eager to meet me, but I can stun it with the MP5, and then shoot these canisters to kill all the shield soldiers that are coming up on the left side. I can then climb off the travelator, head down the stairs and get Sheva kited, and make our way to activate the power. I'm now introduced to one of the most formidable foes in the entire game, the Reapers, capable of performing a one-hit kill. But this enemy is very susceptible to flash grenades. I use one immediately to stun it, run towards the power and activate it. And when the Reaper is coming up behind me, I fire another 2 flash grenades to keep it away. I can also head up the right side of this travelator, saving a few seconds, but if Sheva doesn't make it and gets pushed back by the box, I'll lose a lot of time. Finally, onto the boss battle of this level, which is another Ouroboros, but this time I'm packing some firepower. As soon as I spawn in, I place 5 proximity mines on the floor, move backwards and shoot this canister with a flash grenade, and somehow the boss just dies. Chapter 5-2 is completed in 5 minutes and 56 seconds. 5-3 is up next, and it's the longest chapter in this entire speedrun. And you could also argue that it's the hardest, with all sorts of enemies in the level and 2 intense boss fights. For the pre-chapter menuing, I replenished my ammo stocks and put the explosive rounds into my inventory along with 5 more trip mines. I run through the first room that I previously defeated the boss in the last chapter and open the door with Sheva. Entering the next area, I'm ambushed by 4 soldiers, but I can take them out from a distance with the sniper rifle. Pressing onwards, a Reaper spawns, but it can be destroyed by 2 flash grenades and 5 sniper rounds. Followed by another soldier, which turns into a Plaga after getting headshot, and I eliminate it with a flash round. Approaching the next corner, I flash the ground to stun 2 soldiers and kill them with the sniper rifle, and one last soldier comes running out of the room and gets dispatched with these. Finally, a Reaper spawns, and same as the previous Reaper, 2 flashes and a handful of sniper rounds. I'm now safe to pull this lever and trigger the platform to start moving. While waiting for the platform to reach me, I can pick up the 2 power stones dropped by the Reapers from earlier, worth 5,000 gold each, and using the MP5, I can shoot the grenades on the vest of these 2 soldiers, blowing them up instantly and stunning the big man Magine. As soon as I step foot on the platform, I get a checkpoint which I can reset to despawn the enemies. I restock the flash grenades and activate the platform, sending Sheva across to the other side. Some soldiers spawn, but only one of them is an instant threat, the one with the AK-47. I kill it with the sniper rifle and pull the lever to send the platform back to me earlier, And now I defend Sheva from the 2 remaining soldiers, using the MP5 and the flash grenades when their plagas are exposed. Once I'm across, multiple soldiers spawn, including ones with rocket launchers. I take out one soldier by blowing up his vest, and the next soldier just runs past me doing a long range attack. I run straight towards the door, kick it open and grab the royal necklace on the right side, worth 5,000 gold. But amidst all of the chaos, I run to the next door, kick it open and stun this soldier that's waiting on the other side. Finally, I wait for Sheva to catch up and we can leave this dreaded area. When I reset the next checkpoint, I give Sheva the sniper rifle, which will be useful for the upcoming area, which is the area with the huge round elevator that spins in a circle. Once I activate the mechanism with Sheva, I try to stick to the east side of the elevator for 2 reasons. The enemies that have spawned on the bridge I just crossed won't be able to hit me, and 2, when the elevator gets stopped for the first time, that will be on the east side as well. So as soon as the elevator is stopped, I can fire a single flash round, stunning the lever operator and getting myself moving again. The elevator is stopped one more time, this time on the west side, but once again, one flash round will do the trick. As I am reaching the top, I can ambush some enemies that are spawning on the bridge above by spamming some explosive rounds through the bridge that they are walking on. 7 is enough to kill them all, and I can safely run to the exit of this section. On the next checkpoint, I take the sniper rifle away from Sheva and head through the next area. There's a ruby brilliant at the top of the cave worth 4,000 gold, which I collect and pull this lever, supplying power to a lift. But a fraction before I pull the lever, I press B to get Sheva to continue operating it. This is just a time save of a few seconds, but every second counts. I climb into the lift, Sheva sends it up and I disembark, being ambushed by a ton, and I mean a ton of lickers. I need to push a big container out of the way, and in order to do so safely, I leave a trail of proximity mines, 3 in total. So as the lickers are trying to catch up to me, they get stunned by the mines and I can push the container as far as I need to. I don't have to push it all the way though, just enough to squeeze past it and drop down into this room. I pull the lever, grab the gold chalice worth 3,000 gold and unlock the door. It's faster to spam B to get Sheva to kick open this door, and once she is kited, I can run past the lickers, which thankfully are quite far away. Lastly, I grab this topaz brilliant worth 3,000 gold and enter the final room of chapter 5-3. Before taking on Wesker and Jill, I sell all of my treasures and purchase 3 rocket launchers, one of which will be used for this boss fight. As soon as I spawn in, I take a few steps and tell Sheva to get close to me, and then head up the stairs. And apparently, standing here, Wesker loses sight of me, and I can catch him off guard with the rocket launcher, shoot it towards him to get him to catch it, and shoot him with flash grenades to get the fight to end faster. More like 7 seconds instead of 7 minutes, Wesker. And as for the Jill boss fight, if you've never seen this before, you can actually shoot the device on her chest and shoot her in the leg repeatedly. 7 bullets and a flash grenade to get Sheva to grab her is enough to take her out. And while waiting for Sheva to grab Jill, I pick up the Heart of Africa worth 10,000 gold. And with the device ripped off Jill's chest, chapter 5-3 is completed in 9 minutes and 9 seconds. On to the final set of chapters, chapter 6, and I start by swapping out the MP5 for the M92F, as well as some acid rounds and a rocket launcher. I drop down and put Sheva into attack mode, so she won't interfere and keep away from the enemies. The first soldier is easy to run past, but the next one needs to be stunned, so I use a flash grenade, and I think the flash grenade messes with the AI of the guy at the top of the ladder, or maybe just the slight delay makes him move out of the way. If you go up there too fast, he will hit you 100% of the time. But I can run through this area pretty simply and use the pistol to hit this switch and activate a checkpoint. Resetting the checkpoint brings Sheva right next to me, and I promise you these acid rounds are actually doing something. There's a guy operating the crane which drops a container later, but if I kill him now, the container doesn't actually drop. The alternative strats for this would be to use a rocket launcher to kill the soldier. It will kill him instantly but costs 10,000 gold, and that's just too much money. But with the soldier dead, I can now walk to the next checkpoint. I reset it and give Sheva the MP5 because she needs a weapon to send me up the lift. We both ascend and I just run to the end of this section, waiting on Sheva. The next section has the huge descending staircase, and I get Sheva into a good kiting position before putting her into attack mode and going through this door. Putting her into attack mode makes this section much simpler as she will stay out of the way of any bullets, while I can just run past the enemies hoping that they don't hit me. And when I climb up this ladder, I put her back into cover mode and reset the checkpoint. I take away Sheva's items and get ready for the next boss, which is a JJ, but one rocket launcher does the job. I can then collect the 2 keycards and get another checkpoint when we are both next to the door. I reset it again, take away Sheva's items, and head into the final room of this chapter. All I need to do is drop down instantly, head to the right, and these 3 rocket launcher wielding enemies will all blow themselves up, each dropping a dead bride's necklace worth 2,000 gold each. And that is chapter 6-1 completed in 4 minutes and 14 seconds. The next chapter is another short one. I need to buy some flame rounds from the grenade launcher as well as restock some flash grenades. The first segment is just a quick time event auto-scroller, nothing too interesting. But inside the observation deck is where the real fun happens. Giant tentacles try to attack me, but instead of pressing the duck button, I can just move away from them. And for the tentacles that are blocking the paths, 1 flame round is enough to destroy them. But that isn't the only use of the flame rounds for this chapter. I take out one last tentacle and the enemy at the end of the corridor possesses the bridge keycard. He transforms into a Devalia, but hitting the soldier in the head with a flash grenade and then using another flash grenade right after takes care of this super annoying enemy. With the keycard acquired, I can head through the door and go to the end of this section with Sheva. Finally, it's on to the Excella boss fight. The flame rounds are extremely useful here. I use 3 on the left side tentacle to destroy it and 4 on the right side tentacle. I then use my 2 remaining flame rounds to kill some of the fodder on the floor, and then use a rocket launcher on the closest part to me. And Excella is dispatched with a chapter time of 2 minutes and 21 seconds. Preparing for the final chapter, I re-equip my MP5 and sniper rifle while also upgrading its capacity to 12. I also bring my remaining explosive rounds and purchase another rocket launcher. I run through the next 2 rooms until I reach the engine room, where the real business takes place. My main priority at the moment is to pull this lever, opening up the bulkhead, and I do so by baiting this enemy into a ranged attack. And just like the cutscenes on 4-2 and 5-1, this is another cutscene that I can let play for longer. Now I just need to wait for it to open, and the enemies actually no longer spawn unless I actually kill some of them currently alive. So for now, I just stun the soldiers and wait for Sheva to say the line, "Come on, open damn you." And once Sheva says that line, I take out these 3 enemies with the sniper rifle and make my way down the stairs, stunning this enemy, and for some reason he just isn't bothered about me in the slightest. The next part of the bulkhead has enemies spawning in from above, so I take most of them out with the sniper rifle before I cross. I pull both of the levers, and even though I get a checkpoint and could use it to despawn the remaining enemies, it just costs too much time. 2 Reapers spawn as well, but with the strategy of 2 flashes and the sniper rifle to kill them, they are a piece of cake. I pick up the 2 power stones and then wait here to take out the 2 JJs. By pre-firing the MP5, I can fire the rocket in this exact location instantly when the cutscene ends and both the JJs are defeated. I can then pick up both of the keycards, praying I don't catch any stray bullets, and complete the engine room. The next part is phase 1 of the final boss battle, Albert Wesker. But before I take him on, I sell most of my equipment, bringing my total cash to 10,000, and sell both of the power stones I just picked up, giving me another 10,000 gold. Enough to buy 2 rocket launchers. And since this is professional, 1 rocket launcher is not enough to deal with the first phase. It takes 2, but there is a really cool way of doing this. I head towards the rocket that is in the arena, shoot it to break the glass and tell Sheva to pick it up. I then quick turn and fire my own rocket at Wesker. I run past him, get him to perform the spin kick, which takes away his invincibility, and shoot him once to bring him to his knees. Sheva then fires her rocket launcher straight at Wesker. He will then catch it and it allows me to shoot it and deal enough damage to end the fight. The next part of the bomber is just quick time events, and once they're done, it's time for the final battle. I re-equip my final rocket launcher and if you blink, you'll miss it. I pre-aim left on the breaking rock, skip the cutscene and do a quick turn to the left and climb up onto this rock that Wesker is standing on. And the game is over. The final chapter is completed in 4 minutes and 28 seconds, bringing my total game time to 1 hour, 29 minutes and 3 seconds. There is definitely some small optimizations that can be done for this run, but I was very happy with how it turned out. And that's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you learned something. Take care and I'll see you in the next one.